Hey everyone, and good evening. Today is March 31st, 2020. My name is Derek, and in this video we're going to be looking at the death of Dr. James T. Goodrich. This article, written by Dr. Sanjay Gupta, a friend of his, was posted on CNN today. Now on this channel, I teach about numerology and gematria. We look at a couple different calculation methods. Duration of days between dates, along with date numerologies. This is usually combined with the language of gematria, or the practice of coding numbers into words. We start with the most basic English ordinal cipher, which numbers the alphabet 1 through 26, each letter relative to its position in the alphabet. The full reduction method then uses the rules of numerology to reduce each double-digit number to a single digit prior to adding it to the equation. These ciphers are combined with two large number ciphers that I teach, one called Jewish or Latin gematria. This is essentially the ancient Latin alphabet with more modern characters placed at the end. And then a similar cipher called English extended, which is numbered similarly, but uses the current 26-letter English alphabet. And when you start paying attention to this language, you find out that there's something very, very strange about our world going on. And articles like this are a perfect example of how you can read the numeric riddle between the lines. Now this video is essentially going to be split up into 4 different parts. First, we're going to look at the numeric relation between these two men, Dr. Gupta and Dr. Goodrich, who passed away. We'll be looking at the basic numerology of the date this man died combined with his gematria. And then in the third part, we'll look at the real meat of this riddle, which is a very bizarre social distancing riddle played out by the numbers. And think about the day that this was published, the same date on which we heard news about a sociologist dying of coronavirus. Again, if you're not caught up with the times yet, coronavirus is being used as the largest psychological operation in human history, and it's being used to literally strike fear into people, causing them to beg for their rights to be taken away by the government. And we're seeing this play out to some extreme, as this response for what is essentially a bad flu has far exceeded the damage that the disease itself would have done. So earlier today, I did a video on the death of this man, a sociologist, and how this happened all by the numbers as well. He literally wrote a book about walking every single block of New York City. And of course, the media would have you believe that walking around the city is now a deadly activity. So on this same date, we get a crazy social distancing riddle through gematria in the news. And then in the last part of this video, I'm going to talk about the surgery that Dr. James Goodrich completed, where he separated conjoined twins back in 2016. So the first thing I did was measure between these two men's birthdays, and right away we got a very significant number. Sanjay Gupta was born on October 23rd of 1969. This means the birthdays of James T. Goodrich and Sanjay Gupta are separated by 190 days. The disease that it's said to have killed Dr. Goodrich is COVID-19. So there we have the number that's in the disease. In the standard reduction method, COVID-19, when spelled out, has a gematria value of 67. 67 is what we call a prime number, divisible only by 1 and itself. 67 is the 19th prime number. COVID-19. And notice also how 190 days is also 6 months and 7 days. So another prime relation right there in the calendar. Now the 67th prime number is 331. Although James Goodrich died yesterday, Sanjay Gupta published this story today, March 31st, the date written 331. Dr. Goodrich practiced medicine at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Notice how this university was founded in 1953. Well, that was 67 years ago. Perhaps coincidentally, but when we look at James Goodrich's full name, I want to point out the gematria of 282, and we will look at these other numbers as well. But the 282 stands out because Goodrich was born in the year 46, meaning that the birthdays of Sanjay Gupta and James Goodrich are separated by 282 months. The word doctor sums to 33 in the reverse alphabetic order. Dr. Gupta also summing to 33 in standard reduction. The date of death for James Goodrich was March 30th. This date written 3/30. And if you're familiar with my work, you know that 33 is a number coded into ritual human sacrifice. Both of these with the same 895 gematria in the Jewish cipher. The name Goodrich sums to 137 in reverse. Notice how this is the 33rd prime number. James T. Goodrich sums to 1037 in Jewish gematria. In reduction, his name sums to 66. This is also the same as 33. He practiced neurosurgery, 66. And this headline mentions the Conjoined Twins surgery. Conjoined Twins, summing to 66. And notice Goodrich's birth numerology. 4 plus 16 plus 46 gives us a 66. We'll get to that 78 in a little bit. But on the date he died, Goodrich was 73 years old. And on the date he died, 3 plus 30 plus 20 plus 20, this sums to 73. And when we use the S exception, this is the cipher that's the same as standard reduction, but the letter S, the 19th letter, only reduced once. 1 plus 9 equals 10. Well, notice how neurosurgeon equals 73. So does James Goodrich in the same cipher. And 73, a number of ritual sacrifice. See this value in reduction. This is the same as the ordinal value of sacrifice. All right, now for the fun part of this riddle. Coronavirus 19 is being called COVID for short. In ordinal, notice how this sums to 53. The date of this man's death also had 53 numerology. But what really stands out is this 476 in English gematria. Again, this cipher most closely mirroring ancient Hebrew, Gematria, and Greek isopsephy. So you get a 476 in this extended method. And in Latin gematria, notice how social distancing sums to 476. And this has been the whole idea of the media ever since this disease broke out. Got to stay 6 feet away from everyone. Don't congregate. Don't get with your friends. Stay away from everybody. And stay away from everybody for long enough for it to mess with your head. That's what the media wants you to do right now. And all too many people are parroting this very idea. Well, earlier today I talked about this sociologist, William B. Helmreich. And notice how in prime numbers, this sociologist, his name equals 476 using prime numbers. The value of social distancing and COVID. It's unbelievable. Also worth pointing out, you have this 87 value of doctor. James Tate Goodrich, with the S exception, summing to 87. Dr. Gupta in ordinal 87. And that's what you get when you type in social distancing, 87. But wait until you see how much further this goes. We're literally going to explain how all of these numbers are coded into this story. So let's take another look at the birthday of Sanjay Gupta, born October 23rd, 1969. This means he was born on the date with 69 days left in the year 69. Interesting alignment. Well, look at the reduction value of social distancing, 69. On the date that his friend, James T. Goodrich, died, notice how Gupta was 159 days after his birthday. In the alphabetic order, social distancing equals 159. Now, the 159th prime number is 937. And would you check out the Jewish Gematria of James Goodrich? It's 937, the 159th prime. We're not done. In the reverse alphabetic order, social distancing equals 273. This man died a span of 273 days after the most recent total solar eclipse. And remember, this coronavirus striking right around the midway point of the two great American total solar eclipses in 2017 and 2024. It's called the coronavirus, and the corona is the atmosphere of the sun. The only time you can see the corona is during a total solar eclipse. So this man dies 273 days later with the end date included, and then this news story comes out exactly 273 days without the end date. Social distancing, 273. But how about this 102 in the reverse reduction method? James Tate Goodrich, his full name sums to 102 in this cipher. If you add his common name, James T. Goodrich, to Sanjay Gupta's common name, you get 102 in reduction. Sanjay Gupta was born on a date with standard numerology of 102. I think, yeah, it's Dr. Gupta equals 102. The 102nd prime number is 557. You want to take a stab at what number appears in Dr. Gupta's age today. If you guessed 557, ding, 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 you would be correct. I'm sorry, that was the date that his friend died. Yesterday, March 30th, 50 years, 5 months, and 7 days old. A few more alignments worth mentioning. So Goodrich was a doctor at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Albert Einstein has a couple of numbers in Gematria that line up with other common numbers I've been talking about that have to do with coronavirus and COVID-19, 72 and 56. Also, both Albert and Einstein summed to 41 in the reduction method. And there's this story about this surgery he did to separate the conjoined twins. And that surgery occurred 41 months before this news story. And COVID equals 41 in Hebrew, as well as 122. And there you see the 4, 1, 1, 2, 2 right there, measuring to the surgery. But what's also interesting about this surgery, and here's a Wikipedia page on the two twins that were conjoined. And notice the surgery that they had to do is called craniopagus. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Craniopagus. I don't know. I didn't graduate medical school. But is it just me, or does this craniopagus kind of remind you of coronavirus just a little bit, right? Well, what blew me away is that when you type this surgery in, it sums to 124 and 173. Look at the gematria of these twins. Jaden and Aeneas McDonald, 124, 173. But what really blew me away is the 1033 in Jewish gematria. This is close to the value of coronavirus, 1303. Remember, it's 133 that sums to 1331. The surgery on the McDonald twins was said to have lasted about 30 hours. Notice how McDonald equals 66 and 30. Just like Corona, 66 and 30. Notice the 224 gematria of Corona. I missed this in my post. James Goodrich equals 224. And look how old he was when he died. Or I'm sorry, Sanjay Gupta. That's the one whose age is really important here. You get a 422 in Gupta's age. And this age also applies today, the day after his death, 422. So Corona 224, James Goodrich 224. Finally, notice how James T. Goodrich equals 78, his common name. His full name, James Tate Goodrich, also equals 78. Well, he's the guy known for doing surgery on conjoined twins. This equals 78. And the date on which he completed this conjoined twin surgery, again, that was October 14th. That's the date leaving 78 days in the year. Neurosurgeon James Tate Goodrich also lining up with coronavirus in gematria. So, again, it's not just one or two syncs. It's matches across the board. But really, this whole social distancing riddle is really what caps it off. Because this is the biggest part of this whole mind control operation is trying to keep people afraid of one another. And throughout human history, there's always been new viruses. And that's why we have immune systems to battle those viruses for us. And if you read the news even tells you, they just released an article the other day saying that the mortality rate for coronavirus has been lowered to 0.66%. And that's barely like 2 or 3 times deadlier than the flu. And remember, the numbers for the flu are based on estimates. When you look at the current tally of coronavirus deaths and cases, you're always looking at exact numbers. And that's because they're looking at literally the number of people who have tested positive, right? And if it's true that what they say, that only a fraction of people who have the disease even feel symptoms, then that means there's way more people out there with the virus, and that the mortality rate is even lower, and it would rival something closer to a flu. So, yeah, something's going around, but to crash the economy over this little, again, it's a bug, but that's all it is. And it's something we as people need to not be afraid of in this society. All right, you get my drift there, guys. Just wanted to share that fun little story with you today. So thanks to everybody who jumped in. Hope you all have a good rest of your week. For those of you in the chat asking for my email, please check the description. Take a look at your screen right now. My email's on there. So I'm an easy guy to get a hold of. All right, everyone. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya.